A movie studio based in Michigan is in the early stages of shooting a new film about the historic Battle of Plattsburgh and the little-known story of how a group of schoolboys joined together to help General Alexander Macomb and his army stop the invading British forces in September 1814, ultimately leading to the U.S. winning the war. The screenplay is finished and a scene for the movie has already been filmed.
Who's he?
A friend. He's dying. Musket ball in the stomach.
War is hell. We want to defect. We're not going back. We want to stay here. We saw the posters.
What posters?
Yeah. The ones that offered land and cash to any British soldier that wants to defect.
Right.
What's it like
What's what like?
to live here? To live in a republic where there's no king to tell you what you can do, what you can't do, to get rich off of you?
It's based on the book by Dr. Demarse and the story about the young schoolboys that are listed in Aiken's Raiders. Keeping America from reverting to becoming a British colony, that's actually what would have happened, right, had the battle been lost. It's a concept scene for the movie. Doesn't necessarily mean that what you see here would actually end up in the movie. But this is something that we use to pitch to people. We at least needed to have something to show people the sort of direction that we're going. We're trying to do capture as faithfully as possible Dr. Demarse's book, capture as accurately as possible based on what we know of what happened there.
Dave Betlieski is the Director of Development for America Studios and showed that scene a couple of weeks ago at the Clinton County Historical Association. The movie company focuses on stories of American history. It wants to make a feature-length film about 20 boys from Plattsburgh Academy who in September of 1814 joined together to form Aiken's Volunteer Rifle Company. The film, called 9 Days a Soldier, is based on the book written by Dr. Joy Demarse, a retired Plattsburgh High School English teacher. The film will tell the story of the 9 days the boys, ages 14 to 17, spent as soldiers during the Battle of Plattsburgh. So you have the screenplay now. What's the next step?
Next step is, part of what I'm doing now, which is bringing together the resources that are necessary to be able to actually film it. And there'll be things like the crew selection will have to happen, actors and casting that will have to happen too, determinations on the budget and things like that. That's where I come in to try and get as much support for that so that we can do the best possible movie that we can do. And then it will finally then get to actual filming and production.
Do you have a set amount that you need to raise?
We would love to be able to raise about $10 million to be able to do this, to not only film it, but then to actually properly distribute it, advertise it, and do that to get the widest audience. So our goal would be to raise about $10 million to be able to do that. And then that's something that at that level, we'd have many, many people that would be aware of the movie and get it out there. So the more we get, the better it's going to look. You'll see the finished product on there. We want this to be done in a high-quality, award-winning fashion.
The studio's owner, John Gruters, came to Plattsburgh for one of the yearly reenactments and bought a copy of Joy's book. He called a few years later and pitched the idea of making a movie. What did you think when you heard that?
I was rather astounded, and I'm still not. I'm trying not to get too excited because I understand the business aspect of it, and without the right money, without all the right conditions, it may not ever see the light of day. But would I like to see it made into a movie? Yes, because I think Plattsburgh deserves the attention. I think Plattsburgh deserves that story being told. And I just think it's so amazing that these kids who are 14 to 17 years old felt such a conviction that they would take up arms and fight for their country.
While the film is still in the pre-production phase, the screenplay is finished, and the hope is to begin filming the project as soon as this coming fall. The film company is planning to return in the spring to host another event to try to generate interest and hopefully line up funders to help finance the movie. If production stays on track, the studio says it hopes to release the film in 2024.